So in this video we're going to look at how we can make a vocal pad out of a vocal sample, and there's a number of ways we can actually do this, but I'm going to show you the easiest and, in my opinion, the best sounding way to do so. So you're going to need a tone. You can do this with very short vocal samples, but it's a bit more complicated. So find a tone. I'm going to be using one from the Black Octopus Sound Siren by Vila pack, and I'll leave a link to that in the video description and also the blog post. The reason I'm using a tone is because it's much easier to get a consistent sound. If you're using a short stab of a vocal sample, it's not going to sound as natural. It'll sound more synthesized. We're going to find a tone, and this is the sound we're going to be making the final product, sorry. It's quite nice. So basically, start this from scratch. We're going to insert a sampler on a MIDI channel, and it's important that you use a sampler. I'm going to drag in a tone. I'm going to use a B flat here. Now I'll upload this tone here, just for this tutorial. You can use this one, but I would recommend getting the Siren by Vila pack if you're really interested in making more of these. It's a great vocal bank. You can use it for so many things, and yeah, I really recommend it. But anyway, we're not going to use this whole tone, even though it's pretty consistent. We're going to find a part of it and basically loop it. But first we're going to make a MIDI clip. So we'll do so. Notice that the root key here is C. We're going to change this to A sharp, sorry, which is actually the same as B flat. We're going to start making a pattern. So we'll start with A sharp 2. Drag that out for 2 bars, so we'll make an 8-bar pattern. And then we'll go up to C sharp, and then maybe down to G, and drag that out for the whole time. So at the moment we've got this. It's not that exciting, it doesn't sound much like a pad. So what we're going to do is find a point where we can loop it, and there's no rules when it comes to this. You're basically just looking for with the tone, it doesn't matter too much, but you want to get it in the way when you can see the waveform. You want to get it in a spot where it's hitting 0, and it's kind of difficult with Ableton Sampler because it doesn't really allow you to see that close in, but it's a game of estimation, really. So you'll notice there's a little click there, and fortunately Ableton Sampler has a quite an easy way to get rid of that. We'll first take it to the middle point as close as we can. There's still going to be a click there. Not as noticeable, but we can crossfade this a little bit. So it will basically merge with the start again. Oops. You'll notice that the volume ducks a little bit. But we can fix that by going over to our filter, which actually contains our global envelope. and we'll pull the attack up a bit and the release out. So it's starting to sound a bit more natural now, like a pad. Now we're going to add our effects to pretty much beef up the sound and just make it sound a lot better overall. So the main contributing factor of a vocal pad is reverb, and you'll see why. Without reverb, it sounds small. It sounds hollow. Not hollow, it sounds dry and boring and lifeless. So we're going to add a lot of reverb. And you can just sort of copy the settings I'm doing around here. So I'm going to turn the size up quite a bit. I'm going to turn the decay time up a lot, probably about 6.5 seconds. So it's quite nice. We're also going to add some chorus in there to beef up the sound a little bit. And I just added some saturator to bring up the volume a little bit, or the perceived volume. And other than that, it's just about adding small effects that you want. Creative effects, for example, we could stick a phaser on here and maybe automate it at certain parts. And things like that. But you might be wondering, that's all cool, that sounds okay, but it lacks depth. And I would agree with you, it's one note, it's very boring. But we can actually change that by duplicating this track and simply pulling this down an octave. Go A#1, and then if you want to add even more depth, you could copy and paste this and take it up to maybe C# or D, for example. Oops. Now we've got a chord going on, and you'll hear how this sounds. So that's a simple way to make a vocal pad in Ableton Live. Again, Siren by Vila, great pack, strongly recommend it. If you don't have that, you can probably find a tone from somewhere else. You can try using a vocal sample, a single word, but you're going to have to be very careful with your looping over here, because even though Ableton allows you to crossfade, a lot of the time it won't sound good and you'll get sort of a wobbly kind of vocal sound, which might work. You might want that for a pad, but most of the time you don't. So something to keep in mind. Tones work best. If you can get tones, then I'd recommend that, but I will leave this up for download, and hopefully I don't get in trouble. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any questions, leave a comment below or in the blog post, and I'll see you next time.